What's going on, Ultra Buddies? Durian here with the Zero Nexus. If you dislike Mebius Hikari, this is the deck to play. It's got so many measures to counter the Mebius Hikari. We'll go through all of them, talking about why this deck you should play it, why it's good, some mulligans, the deck construction, then the mulligans, and then we'll go over some sample plays so you can see everything you need to know about Zero Nexus and master it in the last month of BPO 3. So why should you play the deck? It's because it is super good against Mebius Hikari, which is kind of the number one, big villain number one. First of all, you have these ultimate zeros here. We have Zero Mantle and Zero Slugger. Both of these cards get a BP boost versus an armed type. So Mebius has a lot of armed types, and Zero Slugger in particular is power or armed type. It gets a boost, and this includes the lightning counter. Mebius is a power. Everything else is an armed. The Hikaris are basics, so if they line that up, good on them. But it really hurts a lot of the plays that Mebius Hikari wants to do, playing that Ultraman Zero Slugger. And the second part of the deck that's really strong is the Nexus part. Both the scene and the triple rare. The scene is importantly is a round 3 scene, so it's going to prevent the Mebius player from playing Champion of the Fierce Fight. Once you play your own scene, your goal is to kind of get this out and lock your opponent's scene out of the game and kind of win from there. And then if they do get their scene out, you have Nexus, Ultraman Nexus triple rare to on a double or a triple, you can destroy their scene and get plus 2,000 anywhere you want. So very, very strong card. And on the off chance that you can set this up, we have like 6 scenes, but we'll talk about that. So those are the main reasons. You have the BP boost versus arm type. You have the Labyrinth scene, which locks out the opponent. And then you have Ultraman Zero Nexus. Sorry for the auto. Let's see if we can quick. Okay, so there we go. Should stop the autofocus. So let's talk about the deck construction. We're pretty minimal zero package, 4 level 1s, 6 level 2s, and 3 level 4s, and that's just enough so that you'll see the scene, because you will need a Nexus on the field to play this, to activate the scene, not to play it, but you can activate it. And because Nexus works as a double and a triple, obviously we'd love to build up to the triple to get that 17,000, but if you need to play it for a double, 12,000 that can give something else, so plus 2,000 is pretty solid. Then we have 6 scene cards. In a deck that doesn't search any scenes whatsoever, it's pretty useful to have 6 scene cards in case your opponent doesn't have a scene and you want to activate Nexus. And while Labyrinth is kind of the key play against your non-Mebius Hikaris, or against your Mebius Hikaris, His Majesty's Medal, which is the one from the starter deck, this lets you turn a battle opponent of your zero into an armed type, or give it an armed type. Change is different than give. And that lets you utilize these guys against decks that aren't playing a lot of armed type cards. We also have several armed boosts in the level 2s as well. So being able to take advantage of those effects, even when you're not going against a deck like Mebius Hikari, which has a lot of armed, is really important. So that's why we have the 6 scenes. This one kind of covers your non-Mebius Hikari matchups, and this one is all around good, but is especially important for that Mebius Hikari. Then moving on to the zeros, you'll see it's very heavy. It's kind of set up weird, but it's 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, and only 4 level 1s. This is because zero is really, really good at doubles. But you obviously want to play the level 1s to get a little bit of draw action going on. And when you have something like His Majesty's Medal, this as a 1-2 is going to be 11, and then armed boost to 13, which is not too shabby. This one would be 11 plus 1,000 is a solid 12,000. So the level 1s are pretty solid there, and we'd love to build up in the same fashion as the zero for the Nexus triple rare. The ultimate zero works on a double or triple, but because it's an 18,000 on the triple, you'd love to get it into a triple if you can, so you got to play a little bit of the level 1s. So let's talk about the level 2s in particular. There's 10 level 2s that have 11,000 power on the double. That's pretty important because late game, if you play 1-2, there'll be 11s, and that's pretty hard for people to contest all the time. And if you do have ultimate 0, it will bump them to an 11, even if they're a single, which is pretty solid. And then we have the Ultraman 0 Beyond, which gives it power or arm type plus 1000 PP. And that's going to be all your level 3s. They give you plus 1000. And this is actually like a pretty important card in the deck. It seems like, it might not seem like it, but this is one of the reasons the deck kind of works. So then we have Ultimate 0, which we'll go over again. So you can give a battle opponent of any of your Ultra Heroes typed arm. You're typically going to use this to give your opponents typed arm if they didn't match up against an armed type. And then an adjacent 0, so a 0 to the left or to the right, will get a BP grade boost up 1. So you can do some pretty tricky things with this, and pretty scary things with it as well. And then, we've mentioned the BP boosters, and the last card we have is the Ultraman 0 Plasma Spark Slash, which is a double, and it gives one of your zeros plus 2000. So this, like these two, I put them next to each other because they're pretty important for getting your power plays. Also very good late game when you get like 12,000, which your opponent might not be able to deal with, and then also boost another lane or give itself 14,000. So that's the deck. The key kind of pieces you'll see is the armed BP boosters against the arm type, the power gainers, which is 0 power gainers, the Nexus is a power gainer, and the scene counts as a power gainer. And the rest of it is just kind of like help you get everything else going. Yeah. So it is a very fun deck. It tends to play from the lead position. So if you want a deck that plays from the lead and tries to prevent your opponent from getting seen, definitely a fun deck to play. So that's pretty much it for the whys and the deck construction. So let's talk a little bit about the mulligan. So in this deck that uses a lot of doubles, you really are looking for being able to create some doubles or a single triple. Like ideally, you'd like to do a single triple. So if you can have maybe a 3 and a 1-0, you're probably going to draw 2 because there's 14 of them. So you can be a little risky with that, but you'd love to be able to create a triple, kind of work from there. I would not shy away from kind of games where you play a level 1 just in lane 1, and then you can kind of give up on that one and try to build up the rest of the lanes because you have a lot of strength in like the 2 or 3 lane situation. Sorry, lanes 2 and lane 3 are very strong for this deck, so you can kind of afford to fudge lane 1 for a while until like eventually you can build something up. So if you're really looking mostly for ultimate zeros, I think it's your bigger power play. Zero sluggers and ultimate zeros are like your big things to get. The Nexus is kind of bonus, to be honest. And like I wouldn't mulligan for Labyrinth or Nexus. I would be mulliganing for a hand that looks like it can do something. And zero sluggers or ultimate zeros. These are like your two kind of cornerstones of the deck. So I think from there we can talk about some of the power plays and things like that. So I'm going to grab a few cards here just so we can show a little bit what's going on. Let's get extra level 1 just to keep level 2 just in case. That's all the level 2s that we want. And get some scenes. Okay, so with all those cards, I think we can set up some board states that you are probably interested in to see how to play this deck. So the scenes don't super matter right now, so I'm going to put them aside. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to pretend I mentioned that lanes 2 and 3 are the most important lanes to be thinking about. So let's discuss, given lane 1, we don't super care what it is. Like obviously we'd love for it to be something good, but how can we take advantage of lanes 2 and 3? Like what are we looking for there? So the key things that we're looking for is playing a power boosting card in these lane 3. So against Mebius Hikari especially, like Ultraman Zero is going to be very strong and very scary in this lane. And then Ultraman Zero is pretty good against other things. So when we get to that, if we want to get to something like that, then we have a few options. So we can play this Zero, we can draw cards, get to our next one, and then on this lane 3 turn, we can go for an Ultimate Zero and a Zero Beyond here. So if we align this right, this is going to be a 17,000. Zero Beyond is going to give our armed type plus 1,000, making it 18,000. Very hard to contest. If you do have the Majesty's Medal, you don't have to, gamble so much, I guess. You'll just get that one there. So I would say this general concept of playing a BP grade up, specifically Zero Slugger if you can, and playing a power booster in the lane 2 or lane 1 is essentially the key combo of the deck, the key strategy. So, like we said, if your opponent has a scene, then we can pretend to not care about this one as much. Then you can play the Nexus, destroy their scene, and give your 0 plus 2,000 for 19,000. There's another option we can do here, which is to play the Ultimate Zero, which I don't love because it's just going to be a 12,000. But you can do this one as well to make your third lane a 19,000 Ultimate Zero. So once you have that, you win lane 3, you play Labyrinth. That's the general game plan of the deck. We're playing a BP grade booster, and then something that gives power in lanes 1 or 2. This is probably your best play, so we can say that, and then that's going to give us a way to win lane 3, and we go for that, right? So this is like such a powerful setup now too, because if you go into turn 4, you could play another double, and hopefully you have your Ultimate Zero now. You can turn the opponent's type armed from this one. If they mismatch this one, then you can bump this one to 17, so you're guaranteed the 18, 17, 16 with the Labyrinth, and then maybe a Nexus 2, depending on how the game's set up. So like that's like your ideal play. Maybe you save this, so we can pretend, right? We play Nexus, we level it up, then we play the draw, and then next turn we go big, but we don't use our own Nexus, right? We don't use our own Nexus, we bump it, we know the 18,000 is going to win, or we're very confident in it. We win the scene, we go boom, boom, Labyrinth, boom, 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 and try to go for a big win turn. You can also do, you can do a few other things, but I think that's the key thing, is the general understanding of how this strategy works. And then now we can talk a little bit about like the zero plays that you can do. I'm going to grab an extra Ultimate Zero because it's pretty important. So these next plays will be kind of small things that will help you figure out what to do when you're not in these situations, right? When you're not in a situation where you have kind of everything going all at once. So one of the key things to note is a pretty reasonable play on turn 2 is actually just playing this Ultimate Zero Mantle, because it gets a BP boost against basic type, and so many of the level 2s that have effects are basic type. You're going to be able to essentially win this if they play a draw effect, and then they play another effect on top of it that's a basic type, then you're still 13, you're still beating it. So they're going to have to end up committing a lot of cards to beat your Ultimate Zero Mantle. So don't forget that this is the thing, and if you do have this set up, you can actually take advantage of it later by building up a triple, even if it gets mismatched. Now this Ultimate Zero can give the adjacent one a BP grade boost and give the opponent type armed, so then it can become a 16,000. So this is a way for you to like play a cheeky single and then double boost BP grade up it, right? Double BP grade boost. So you can also do this with here, make it a 17,000. So this is like a silly, I guess, strong play you can do. You can also do it in a different way, where maybe later in the game you can set it up like this on lane 3. So in this case, would be an 11, but you can give the arm type and the BP grade boost, so it's still a 17. So you can surprise people here, something like that. So just remember, you can double boost a single Ultraman Zero Slugger or a Ultra Zero Band. You can also do similar things with these cards, but they won't get as high. So that's why they're so important to have that large amount of cards that gain BP boosts or effects when your opponent has arm type. So another very strong power play that you can go for, if you don't have the scenes and stuff, is you can go for setting up an Ultimate Zero with a Plasma Star Slash. In this case, what we get is we hopefully have something strong in lane 3. Then we have Ultimate Zero, or actually we can do it like this, right? You do something like this, do something like that. So in this case, you'll play the 1, you'll play a 2, 2, and then you'll level everything up on the 3rd lane. And you can swap this depending on what you think your opponent's going to play. But we'll just go with this for now. So in this scenario, we can use Ultimate Zero to grade up our Plasma Spark, and then armed type versus Zero Slugger. So now we're guaranteed an 8, 16, and a 17, and then Zero's Plasma Spark Slash. We'll give plus 2,000 to any of these to help kind of boost it over the edge. So this is another setup that you can go for. That it's part of this way that we can set up a Labyrinth 2 later. So, but this is also a reasonably strong kill turn. So that's something you can look for. And then the final play that I wouldn't really recommend you go for many times, but you do need to keep in mind, is something like having the Nexus set up in 1. Again, playing at level 2 just by kind of naked by itself is a pretty common play in this deck, because it opens up you to do a BP grade boost later, or Ultimate Zero, or in this case, you can go for a sneak kill here with a double Ultimate Zero, because they can BP grade boost each other up to 18,000, 18,000. So this gives you 17, 18, 18. If they played a scene, you can destroy the scene and give another plus 2,000. So this is a very dangerous turn as well. I would recommend avoiding playing Ultimate Zeros as doubles as much as you can, because they will become an 11,000 at the end of the turn for the next turn. The following turns, which your opponent should be able to beat easily, but you can definitely squeeze out a little bit of extra juice if you need to with them. So, and then don't forget, like, even late game, many lanes down, if you do have something like this set up, you can fix it. You can kind of fix it later. So maybe, for example, we did something like this. Then the next turn, we can go for an Ultimate Zero double. Hopefully they don't have an 11. And then you can grade up this to 16 and arm type this to a 17. So a lot of things to consider. Labyrinth definitely fixes a lot of awkward math for you once you get it out on the field. But again, just to reiterate, before I leave you all with it, my general strategy for this deck is lane 1. We're gonna start doing some drawing. We'd love to build it up eventually, but it's not super necessary. Lane 2, we're gonna be playing a naked level 2 of some sort, most likely. Either a naked level 2 or the level 1, and that is going to set up, this is basically a setup turn, so that we can play Zero Slugger or Ultra Zero Mantle, and then combine that with a plus 1,000, a plus 2,000, or potentially a Nexus plus 2,000 in this first lane. This is going to let you get to 18,000, 19,000 in this front lane. That's probably going to win you the lane, especially if you have already lead from this lane 2. And then after you've set up that little combo, you're going to go with Labyrinth and try to essentially grind out the game with like the huge BP power boosts and minuses from that. So that is essentially how Zero Nexus works. I hope it's helpful. Hope you try it out. I'm definitely going to try to play it in at least one more tournament before the end of BPO3 and BPO4 comes. And I'm excited to try this deck out again in BPO4, but we'll be playing with a lot of the new stuff, I think, before we come back to things like this. And I haven't seen much that would make me want to update it in BPO4, but there's still many cards to come out. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy Zero Nexus, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Last thing before I go, because I don't want to be called out for this. This is the Japan Champion build, and it's not my own creation. I go into the build, it's fairly solid. There's no reason for me to change it. I want to show you all the best decks that we can, and I think he did a great job with it. So this deck you saw today was the Japan Championship winners deck, and I will try to post a link to the note that he wrote about the deck in the comments or in the description. You can find that. It was very helpful for me learning the deck and understanding a little bit extra why things were. And I try to convey that to you, but if you want to read it, go and read it. I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye.